Welcome everyone to our Lunch and Learn today. This format is going to be very informal. We'll have a presentation and we'll open up for questions. And both Dow and John are here to maybe give some interpretations from the autism point of view.
I would love that.
Which we really learned so much from and really appreciate your willingness to share with us. I'm Joanne Dewig. I'm the president of the board of directors of the Red River Valley Asperger Autism Network. One of our guiding principles is that we offer activities and information to families and individuals on the spectrum at no cost. Welcome to the Lunch and Learn program today. We are a nonprofit organization whose mission is to empower, support, educate about, and advocate for persons on the autism spectrum and their families. We are privileged today to have Alyce Wiemken from the Fargo Public Schools, and I'll let her tell you more about what she does there, and thank you for coming.
Thank you. I'm always so happy when I can talk about assistive technology. It's like a really good day for me when I can get out and talk about technology because it's just something I'm so passionate about. So my name's Alyce Wiemken, and I have a master's in speech pathology by trade, but I've been working as an assistive technology consultant in Fargo schools for, gosh, I think it's been about 10 years now. And I recently got a certification as assistive technology professional, and I never thought I would have to study as much as I had to again, but I did, and I was just so happy when I passed. I just think I danced, and that's never good. But anyway,
they keep changing things on you, don't
they change a lot, and there's always new things to learn. Luckily, I like to learn, so that's great. But so today I wanted to talk about assistive technology. And really, assistive technology crosses the lifespan, really. And it can be something as simple as a low-tech device, and when I say device or tool, it could be a pencil grip, to something like a computer that someone may need if they have a vision impairment. So it can be across the gamut and across the lifespan. So kids can start as infants using some form of assistive technology up to age 99. So I just want you to know it's just so broad. And so what I really focus on a lot in the schools is finding technology that will allow students with disabilities, or even students that do not have disabilities, but ways to help them be successful in the classroom. And so that's a lot of what I do is research, and then I go into the classroom and I train the teachers and the students and then the parents and families how to use these tools. And so some of the tools that I'm going to show you today are really a lot of tools that are already in the computers that we use, or they're online, and they're free. And so that's usually the first place I'll start, is teaching things that we already have available, because in our schools and in many of the school districts, at least in our districts, students 6th grade through 12th grade all have their own computer. And in middle school, it stays at school. And then at high school, it can go back and forth with them. So a lot of these tools are already there. People just might not know about it. So that's really where I'll start. And so with my title, Promoting Independence with Assistive Technology, that's what I'm really trying to do, is give students lots of different options, and then they try the different tools and find what works for them. And that's where I feel like I get the most buy-in, because if a student doesn't see the benefit of it, or they don't understand how it can help them, they're not going to use it. And I think that's us with anything that we get or that we hear about. So, and what we're also trying to do is promote more independence, because we find a lot of times that students may have a paraeducator with them, and they get so used to having a paraeducator that when it comes time to maybe to graduate, or they don't have a paraeducator, they're not sure what to do. And many times our students really do want to have that independence and some say in the tools that they're using. So let me just flip to the next part here of my slide. So a big push in the schools is universal design for learning. And what we're trying to do is allow students to show what they know in a way that works for them. You know, probably when I was in school, or when you were in school, so much of what was presented was verbal. And now we're trying to get teachers to understand that we all learn differently, and so a student should be able to show what they know by a way that works for them. And I don't know if you can see it so well in this picture, but we have one student that might be working on an assignment on a computer, the next student working on the same assignment that they might be drawing what they know because there's a paint. There's another student that has a set of headphones on, so they might be listening for the information. And so what we're trying to do is get educators to understand that it doesn't matter how they show you what they know. What matters is that they know it. And so that's kind of the big push with universal design for learning. And so that's why I wanted to put that slide up there, or that symbol. And then we're also making sure that we're getting back to reminding educators and our students that we all learn differently, and you really need to know what your learning style is. Because we used to always teach to the hearing learning style, where we would lecture and we expected people to understand it. Well, I'm not like that at all. I'm a visual learner, and so if you just tell me something, I won't comprehend it. I'll have to go back and listen. And so that's one thing that I know about myself, is that I'm a visual learner, and we're trying to make sure that students know what type of learner they are too. You can be auditory, you can be read and write, where you're better at reading information and writing about it. I'm a little bit like that too. Or you might be hands-on, where you learn fast when you make things. So you probably are all able to think about what type of learner you are, and that's what we want the students to know too, and then teachers to realize that you're going to have all these different learning styles, so we have to teach to that. So that's why another big area that I think we've always known about, but we're just trying to make sure that people remember it. So with assistive technology in the schools, there really isn't a test to give to determine what tool is best for a student. So we always are doing an informal assessment, and I don't even want to say assessment, but an observation. And it continues the whole time they're in school with us, because tools change all the time. And students change, and there's maturity and just so many variables. So what we'll usually do is, if maybe we have a student with a writing disability, we might think, okay, let's think about the student. What are their strengths and weaknesses? Not even that. What are they good at? What are some things they might struggle with? Where are they expected to do all of the different writing tasks? And then what are they expected to do? And that's what helps us figure out the tools to try. And when I say try, that's really what it is, because the first time that we use a tool we might find we think will work, may not work, and then we go back to the drawing board. And I feel like a lot of times we start backwards. Somebody will hear about a really great tool and think, my student should try that tool, and then we're trying to make the student fit a tool when really the tool should fit the student. So that's where sometimes we start from the bottom up and we should start from the top down.
I've got this really cool wrench, but I need a hammer.
So sometimes, like when cool apps and things come out, not that they aren't great, because I love a lot of the communication apps out there, but people might think we need to start with this one, and so they'll want to start with a certain tool and not really take into consideration these other things, so we try to start from the top down. Or I do start from the top down. I'm always kind of thinking about this, and so then that really continues till 12th grade, or till they're not with us anymore, or unless we find that one tool that's just worked really great, and then that's just what they'll use. Go ahead.
One thing you did when you worked with my grandson who's in high school,
Right.
he was a little resistant to the idea of looking at new technology, even though he loves it. So you very wisely asked him to come in and test several of these for you, and give you feedback about the advantages and disadvantages and which ones he liked the best. And that made all the difference. That was his buy-in,
Right.
and then he started using it.
And that's exactly right. And really it's true, because it gives me good information, because if I'm a visual learner, or I don't maybe need some of the other tools, it's good information for me to know. Is it even efficient to use? Does a student want to use it? You know, because they might be looking at me thinking, I'm not going to use it, you know, so I do have to get their hook, you know.
Tools are a real personal thing, and the
True.
way you use them is very personalized. So
Exactly.
once you get, and for someone on the spectrum, once you get a particular tool for a particular task, you start getting better at it. So you have this learning cycle where you get better at it, you get more experienced at it. So that it might not even be necessarily the best tool
Right.
of that type, but it's the one you're experienced with now. So you want to keep using your favorite tool if you possibly can.
Right.
So you might have some resistance to changing to the fancy new tools, just because they already have gotten over the hump and
Makes sense.
done all the problems with the old tool.
Yeah.
And then building on that, I'd also say that with people on the spectrum, change being such a steep curve, it's hard to want to try something different, and so
Right.
you're sticking with what you're familiar with, and
Right.
because of the resistance to change, you're going to be resistance to a new technology.
And so is that a good way to do it then, is trying, just explaining what this tool can do and not really say, and we're not going to take anything away, but if you'd be willing to try it, you know, if that is a good approach to use, I
The other
appreciate knowing
problem,
that.
the other way to do it is to look for, rather than looking for, well, okay, why should they use this tool?
Right.
Look for what unsolved problems do you have? And of
That's a good approach.
these problems that you have,
Right.
is there anything that can be solved by this new tool? Because that would be what would get me to be buying
Right.
it. It's like, oh, I've always wanted to do X,
Right,
but my old tool doesn't quite do X right.
right.
Can this new tool do X?
I like that idea, thank you. Because I hadn't really thought of it that way. Thank you, I appreciate that.
And don't take the other tool off the table. That
Right.
will,
Yes.
that will
Oh.
guarantee that they're not going to try it.
Right, so make sure to say, I'm not taking this one away, but I wonder, you know, sometimes I'll say, I wonder about how this tool will work, and it's really true. I buy them and I hear about them, but I don't always have a chance to try them, and that's why this kind of feedback is so.
Okay, I'll try to read it, but don't take away my hammer.
I know, no. And that's true, like, we use so many different kinds of tools, I mean, out there, you know, so we might try one and then we'll have another one in our toolbox, so to speak. And so when I have a student that I'm showing them different tools, if they say that maybe the student has a hard time with either reading, or maybe they have the information but they're highly distractible, or maybe, I mean, just, I always try to talk about some different reading tools that they can use. And so these tools are built into either your computer or you can download them. And we're a Google district, so you'll hear me talk a lot about Google apps because we use Google apps for education, but they're all free. And so a lot of times I'll go in and I'll teach them about text-to-speech, because if the computer can read for you, and for some people they really like that because it takes away that fluctuation. It's easier for them to understand if they can read and listen at the same time. So dependent on their learning style, and so I use this a lot, and I call it, you know, reading with my ears, because I'm letting the computer read for me. And so 3 of the really good ones that we found that students have liked is Select and Speak It, and then Read and Write for Google Chrome. And we download those through the web store. And so students have really liked that for reading websites. They use it for editing purposes. So if they're on a Google Doc and the teacher has them do a writing assignment, they might use text-to-speech to read back what they've typed. Because I always feel like, for me, because I'm a visual learner too, that I can understand, or I can hear my errors more if I can hear it and see it at the same time. So we have students that use text-to-speech in lots of different ways, and for a lot of different reasons. It could be distractibility, it could be because they have dyslexia or a reading disability, or they might just need this to help comprehend the information. And so these are 3 tools that I typically will start with because they're free and all students can download them. And that's another thing our students like too, is that it's something everybody can use, and a lot of times they'll tell other students about them. So if you are looking for something that will read text back to you, we'll start with these 3. And then also I have this cell phone icon there, is because text-to-speech is also on cell phones, and kids have figured that out too. If you go into settings and you turn on speak, that anything you highlight with your finger will be read to you. So some students use that as well. The students are just so quick with all of the technology that's built into mobile phones. So if you are going to look for a text reader, I would start with these 3. And they've been the most successful when I've asked students about them. They said the voice is decent. With all of these, you can slow down or speed up the rate. So that makes a difference for some of our students. And I always tell the students, you'll know right away, your ears are going to know right away as you start listening to it if it's something that you like. And so they sometimes will change the voice from male to female. There's a lot of different variables there. But this is what I would download if you're looking for a text reader to start with. So those are reading tools that can read text. We also have a lot of students that like to read with their ears and download audiobooks, and so those have been really big, and we used to just buy a lot of ebooks, and now our libraries are buying a lot of audiobooks as well. And so we have something in Fargo schools called Overdrive Media, and so middle school and high school kids can go in and download ebooks or audiobooks. And then this also connects, this is an app as well you can put on your phone, and if you have a Fargo Public Library card, you can also download audiobooks from there too. So some kids are listening to them on their phones, some are on their devices that they have from school, so that's nice. Some of our students will even go to YouTube, and they're not watching the video, but almost all audiobooks, or I mean most books are in audio format on YouTube. So they'll listen there too. Like you can get 1984, I'll tell you some of the novels we still read, but 1984, To Kill a Mockingbird, all of those novels that kids are reading in middle and high school, they're typically in audio format on YouTube, so they just plug in their earbuds and they listen. There's not a picture or anything, it's just sound. So those are some things also I'll have students try if they'd rather read with their ears. So we're trying to make sure we hit all the different learning styles. So.
One of the downsides of those, and I think we adults just need to be aware of it,
Right.
is my grandson gets in trouble all the time at home and at school.
Yeah.
You're on your computer, why are you on your computer, you're playing games, and every single time he's reading, and I think it's really important for us adults to pay attention to what's happening there. Just because they're on the computer or the phone doesn't necessarily mean they're playing, although
Right.
to my grandson, reading is play, so,
Yeah. But that's a very good point, because now with everybody, all of our students, or most of them, having one-to-one devices, teachers are a little maybe more leery about what they're doing, which they should be, but you're right, there's many times where students are listening to audiobooks, or a lot of our books are online now, our textbooks, so we don't have a lot of paper books anymore, and they almost all have an audio format, so students who would rather read with their ears then can listen. So I like
guess what
that.
that's doing for people on the spectrum, it's basically discouraging them from using those tools.
Mhm.
They
Exactly.
get told not to.
Right.
Yeah.
told that, oh, you're playing a game, you're not
Mhm.
doing what you're supposed to.
And then every time that you're on a laptop at school, then
Right.
with that thought being brought up, then you're thinking, okay, the same thing's going to happen, the same perception is going to be
Mhm.
there. And if you're thinking about the perception of it, you're getting just a little nervous about it, then you're thinking, okay, I'm doing something wrong,
Right.
and then you put it away, and then you don't want to touch it. And you basically,
Here's an assistive
That's
technology, low technology that would help.
Right.
Let's get a little index card that says, I'm reading a book, and have that handy for when you're on the computer reading the book, and then just throw it up so that you don't have to take your headphones off if the teacher has their doubts.
Those are good points, and even me remembering to let the team of teachers know, or the student's case manager or somebody, to make sure that they communicate with the teachers that their learning style, if they don't know what it is auditory, or they prefer to listen to books, and make sure that they know.
I noticed you have Project Gutenberg up there.
Yes.
So let me just put in a plug for them.
Yeah,
They're
I
very
love
good.
that.
And, stuff like Mark Twain and a bunch of other stuff there. There's really good, all the old stuff's on there.
Yeah.
And you can both read it in regular format, and I think they have lots of those audiobooks.
They do.
Is there a charge to go on there
No.
and use those?
Gutenberg is free.
Gutenberg's
It's
free.
And
YouTube's
so
free.
it does have all the audiobooks, and we're still, all the older novels, and that's what we're reading in middle and high school.
One thing about YouTube, they also have, there's a kind of a hybrid. I used to, when I was in high school, in elementary school, I learned a lot of my science, not in science class, but by reading science essays. And there hadn't been a real equivalent of that now, and I was wondering if there was ever a video equivalent of it. And there is now. There's a couple of YouTube series. There's a guy named Brady Heron who makes a bunch of science videos. Like there are channels, 60 symbols, periodic videos.
Oh.
You can look them up, and they're short. They're about like 6 to 10 minutes, and they're science
Wow.
of various
I
types.
gotta remember that.
And those are the kind of like the bite-sized things for learning for people who have that level of attention span.
That's
And I
perfect,
found that
actually.
it's the equivalent for me of the kind of science essays that I used to read. So it's translating the effect
Right.
from my learning reading style to the audiovisual format.
Oh, I have to remember that. And the other one is Khan Academy too, and I don't know if that's the other one
I've
you were
heard
going
it,
to
yeah, I've heard
mention.
Khan Academy.
But they have science and math, and they're always adding. I think they have econ now and government. And if you go to their website, it's KHAN, then you can see all their little short snippets of concepts in all of those areas, and they're not very long either, maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah, a lot of that
I like
I've discovered
Oops.
now I personally, I don't know how many other people have that, is that where I'm more willing to commit to listen to a video that's 6 or 7 minutes long than one that's an hour, because I prefer for longer stuff to do reading at my own speed, because I read much faster than I listen.
Right.
And that's the biggest problem, I think, with audiobooks and reading. Some people is like, I read faster or occasionally slower
Right.
because I want, now it's going too fast because
Right.
I want to go over that particular passage because it's important at the time.
Yeah. So, but I would, check out, what did you say, break? No, what was the science?
The 60 symbols and periodic videos is the one that's the most famous, because that's about the periodic table. It's about chemistry.
And then Khan Academy too, we have some students that are using that as credit recovery too, just students that maybe have had a hard time with some of the traditional way that we teach math, and so they'll go online and you can do a whole course. And they love that, because like you said, they can do it in short snippets, they can take a break, they can come back, and it works really well. So Khan Academy's been has been one we've used for credit recovery.
Math has a little trouble with the reading aloud things, because they don't have
Yeah, the
equations.
text readers don't do that as well. There's a new tool that just came out that I'm hoping will do better. So we use a lot of these apps to make web reading easier, because you can add these extensions to Google, and then when you go to a website and you click on, the first one is readability, it takes all of the clutter on the page and all it leaves behind are the words and just a couple pictures, because sometimes all that blinky stuff on the side, that distracts me, I know. And so that students are using readability, and it might be called Mercury Reader now. I think they changed their name. But you can also get to it just in your browser. You don't really have to download the app from Google. You can just type in readability in the browser, and then it will come up. And our students love this, and I do too, because if I'm on a website and I see all that blinky stuff, casino, and
I keep scripts turned off, and an ad blocker on, just to keep it under control.
Yes.
But if you've got a specific app that filters out to just the words,
Right.
I just want to see the words and maybe one picture.
And that's what this does, and it makes the font a little bit bigger, and then it also leaves more space in between the lines, so I like that for my eyes too. So students have liked that. This one's Visor, and this is an extension. I can show it to you up here. It's my first one here, this one. And what it does is it masks on the website. So if you're a person that only likes to see a small chunk of maybe a paragraph at a time, you can mask out the rest of the text. So you can only read, your eyes will only look at maybe a paragraph at a time, and you can move it up and down. So that's called like a web masker, and some students like that. And you can also change the background color too, so because some people feel like they read better with certain colors or different colored overlays. And so students have like Visor as well. And you can kind of see from this picture, but it masks out, and so your eyes will only focus on the words that are in the white area, and then with the mouse you can move it up and down. And so we've had some success with that, and students again will know pretty quickly which of these extensions will work for them. And then some of our students like Rewordify, and this is a website where you can go to, and it will take text, so you can copy paste information from a website, and you put it into Rewordify, and then it will replace some of the real difficult words with simpler synonyms. And so for some people it's very difficult to, just the vocabulary, like Mark Twain and some of our novels that we need to read, Huck Finn. And so students will copy paste the information into this, and it will take that language and put it in a more simplified English, which for some people is great, because Huck Finn and Mark Twain, and they're not easy to read, and so that really helps us at times when we need that. So these are some of the tools that we use for websites. And then also, if you have an iPhone, if you are on a website and you see that there's 3 lines on the left side of the browser on your iPhone, then if you click on that, it'll make it easier to read too. So they have a simplifier as well in Apple.
At what point do schools call me in? Because I sit at a lot of meetings for kids struggling with reading, and I had no idea that a lot of this even existed. So at what point do you get consulted about, here's what may be happening for this child?
Well, it used to be just when a student they had an IEP, or they were going through the process of maybe possibly being in special education or being identified with a disability. Now, they'll call me in for a 504 kiddo, they'll call me in if there's a student that is at risk, and they just can tell from the reading scores that they're struggling, and so they'll have me come in, and not to replace their reading instruction, but to give them a tool to use right now that they can still be in the curriculum with the other kids while they're learning a reading intervention, or while so they'll have me pop in, and what I'll do then is if a team or a classroom teacher calls me, I'll say, can you just have parents sign that it's okay that I come and meet with their child? And then I'll do that, and I'll show them some tools, and then I'll maybe meet with them a couple more times and get their feedback, make sure they know how to use it, and then I pop out again. So I come and go, and
Can parents request? Okay.
yep, and then I just come. So that's kind of how technology is. You show a couple tools, and if the student is using it and they feel comfortable with it, they might not see me again until maybe something else comes out, or I'm starting to think, maybe that student could really use this, or I want to make sure they know about this tool. And then they might see me again. But because students pick up on these tools so quickly that, and they're pretty quick at telling me too, like, I don't think I can use this, or I don't know when I would use it. And then we kind of brainstorm about it. And then when I get their buy-in, they'll usually run with it. And then if they need me to, then I'll come back and show other tools. So it used to be just IEP, now it's 504, kiddos that might just need a quick intervention, and I've had a lot of success with that, just showing a couple tools, and then they run with it. And that's all they need, like a text reader that we all are using. So those are tools for easier web reading, and I want to quick show you some study tools here that I show students a lot. Students are getting back to creating word webs, and so we're trying to make sure that students know about them, or make sure that teachers are talking to them about it, because it helps organize their thinking and their writing. And word webs are digital now, so you can download MindMeister, or you can download Poplet, and that's where it just brings different symbols, and then you can plot out maybe what your paragraph's going to be about, or what your essay's about, because some kids have great ideas, they just don't know how to organize their thoughts. So this has worked really well, and now they can do it with their devices, or some just draw it on a piece of paper. But it's just reminding them to use word webs. We have a live scribe pen. This is one piece of hardware that a lot of students are using, and even in college. I wish I would have had this when I was in college, but it's a pen that has an audio recorder built in, so you turn it on to record the teacher's lecture, and then you write your notes on the notebook, and then after the class is over and you want to go back and review it, anywhere that you tap with that pen on your notes, it'll pop to that part of the lecture. So students have really liked these, and because I think I would have used it, definitely. And they're probably like $110 or $120, but they can hold a lot of information. You can send the audio to your computer, and then you can even go back and listen on your computer, and then it also sends the notes to your computer too, so you can see your handwritten notes. It's like a picture of them. Then if you click anywhere on those notes with your mouse, it'll jump to that part of the lecture. So this has been a really good one, and I have a number of them out there, and then I just have students try them before they graduate, just so that they don't put the money into it and then it doesn't work out for them. So I do that a lot. I have a lot of different pieces of hardware or hardware tools that they can use. So that's one piece of hardware I wanted to make sure I mentioned. So that's the LiveScribe pen, and you can get them like on Amazon or places like that. Sometimes they go by Echo too, is another name it might go by. Okay, some note-taking tools, because our students have their own computers, and we're even getting more and more computers in 3rd through 5th grade. We're trying to teach students how to take notes and getting teachers used to having themselves recorded, because that's one that teachers just aren't quite used to if they're not in college level. So we're having students use things like, this is a Google app called MicNote, and you download it for free, and then it has a recording button so you can record the lecture, and then you can also take notes at the same time. So some students have like that. OneNote is a Microsoft product, and they just added a record feature, so students can use that as well. So these are just some different note-taking tools, and some students are even using their phones because you can get the audio recording app. And the only thing is we make sure that they just let the teacher know that they're being recorded, and teachers are getting better about being okay with that, because some teachers are even recording themselves with OneNote. I have one teacher who turns OneNote recorder on every time she starts to lecture, and then she uploads that so students can get to it. So some teachers are even doing it on their own, which is great, I think. And that's what they can use in college too. So we try to make sure that students are learning about tools then that they can take with them as well. So those are some note-taking tools. Writing tools, we're trying to get educators used to having non-traditional writing formats. And for some kids, they do better if they can make a story as a comic, because graphic novels are so popular now. Storyboard that is where you create a storybook, like a comic, right on your computer, and you can send it to your teacher. Showing what you know as a PowerPoint or a Google slide. So we're just trying to get people aware of all the different options out there, and it doesn't have to be paper pencil.
The one thing about writing, that is a subject I know a fair amount.
Yeah.
One of the keys to writing, I've found, is the ability to be unaware of your tool while you're using it.
Right.
And one of the problems with Microsoft Word, the clones, which is the dominant form,
Right.
is very intrusive. You know you're in Word. It's got all this junk.
Right, you're right.
And I do my creative writing for my 3rd novel now in WordPad rather than Word, just because of the amount of stuff it doesn't have. And I do separate spell check because WordPad, I can just get everything out of the way,
Right.
say this is an RTF, and then do all
And not have all the tools there to distract you.
Yeah, because it just has a very, it only has the things I need.
Right.
And I think that what will happen is when you have someone on the spectrum encountering something new, look at all this stuff. I mean, just
Right.
on that, on your tabs.
Yeah.
I don't know what all this stuff is.
Right.
So the stuff I do know about is harder to find. And then the
Makes
other
sense.
problem is that when you do something by accident, you can go, oh crap, I just redid something and now I don't know how to go back.
Right.
So sometimes the problem with the tool is not that it does too little, it's that it does too much.
That's right, and we kind of found that out yesterday. Sylvia and I were showing this to a student, and he'll love storyboard that, but right now, there's just so many things in it. So many pictures and so many props and so many things you can use. He's a little bit preoccupied, so now we got to find a way to get him back to the heart of the matter is teaching him to love to write and how to write a really good paragraph. Because he has all these ideas, but paper pencil scares him. He doesn't. Just feels like, I just can't write it out. He's not confident in that, but gosh, if that boy could tell a story. But right now, there's a lot of tools right now.
Yeah,
He's trying to find his
if
way.
all fails, once you've learned to type, once they've got to the point where they can type, even if it's not spelled right, even if the grammar's crappy, get it into Notepad or something. And once you've got the words down, then you've got something there, and you can go with that.
And that's what we do tell students, is just, if you can, just get your ideas down, and then we'll go back and fix it later, because sometimes you're disrupting your flow of thinking.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes to, I can kind of segue into speech to text, because I'm trying to teach students how to just talk to the computer and it'll type for you. And so I've had some really good success with this. And I'm not trying to take away handwriting or keyboarding, because you're always going to need those things. But sometimes you just know what you want to say, and by the time you go from here to here or to writing, you've lost it. And so built into Google, and I can show, yeah, I don't know, let's see if I, built into Google, is, I don't think it'll work because I'm not connected to the internet, but if you go under Tools in a Google Doc and you click on voice typing, there's a microphone there, and so you can start talking and it'll type for you. And so some of our students have really liked this because they can get their thoughts out, and then like you said, they'll go back and edit later. So they might then turn on this text reader, and that'll go back in and it'll read to them what they've typed, and then they have a good chance of finding some of those mistakes. But, or errors.
They're always, the homophones are fun with that, where you have multiple words or something that sound the same or different.
What did you say that is the voice typing is in?
Oh, it is under, so if you go into a Google Doc, just go under Tools. And then you'll see voice typing, and so then a microphone will come up when you click on it. See if I'll just click on it and see what it does here. Here's the microphone. It says I'm offline, but this is what the students would see. So it's off now, and then if I was connected to the internet and I would click on it, it would turn red, and then the student would know it's recording. And so like I would say, what are you doing today, question mark, and then it would type that, what are you doing today, with the question mark. And so that has been a nice tool for some of our students who are maybe nervous to write, or they just have a difficult time from here to here, just another step. They'll use speech to text. And gosh, so many students are grabbing onto this that we're almost finding it hard to find a quiet place in some of our middle and high schools, because it has to be somewhat quiet.
Yeah.
Because if too many people are talking and a microphone is on, it's not going to know who to listen to, so it'll make more mistakes. So we're trying to get teachers to maybe, we'll have some kiddos in the corner, maybe one student over here with his device and he's talking, and then another student over here, and we're just trying to find places where kids can go because they really want to use the technology that is out there right now for them to use. And so that's been a challenge, but
The audio isolation problem is one that's not solved in the classroom.
Yeah.
I see in the address bar it's a secure https://docs.google.com.
Yes.
So do you have to register for it before you can get in, or can you just go in and type in the HTTPS and get into it? Is that
I can get at most docs from Google or Google Docs without being logged into Google.
okay?
Yeah. And all of the students have their own Google account, so that's what they'll log in with.
I mean, you can lock it, so nobody
Right.
really,
Yeah.
but I assume that these are publicly available.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
have to be
So
on it.
probably if you go in through Google, you're logged into
Yes.
Google, and you go in through Google and just type in Google Doc.
Yeah.
It'll bring you right to that.
Yes,
page, and then
it
you
will.
can pick your
Oh, yeah,
speech.
you have to be logged into
Right.
the actual writing.
Right, yeah.
And then all of our students know their Google account, and so then that's what they go under, which is nice because now they can use these tools at home. Before, we would download special tools onto computers, and then the students couldn't take them home, or they couldn't
Get the
use the
homework.
tools, and so why just have it in school when you need it at home? So it's nice that a lot of these are, all of these tools I'm showing you, you can get through Google, so then they can log in with their Fargo Schools account, or Moorhead Schools, or whatever account at home, and then they can get to it. So that's kind of nice. Then they can do all of this, their work there as well. So, oh, and word prediction. We have some students that love this because it's on their cell phone, so when they're starting to type, it's trying to guess what they're going to say. Some kids love word prediction as well. So it just kind of depends again, what works for them is really what we have to figure out. Executive function. Oh, there's so many things coming out now where I used to buy special watches that would buzz or, vibrate, and now these are just built into so many things. Like even some of our students will use a Fitbit to help remind them about what they're supposed to do because they can get it to vibrate at certain intervals. And like even my watch here, it'll tell me when I need to breathe. I hope I know. However, it'll tell me, or it tells me, if I got a message, so I can set it. And so a lot of students now, for executive functioning, trying to remember where they need to be or what they need to do, they're programming it into their phones or their watches or Fitbits. It doesn't have to be expensive, but now we don't have to buy anything special. So that's a big thing now for a lot of people, including myself, as I use reminders on my watch all the time, and I have it buzzing for different reasons. And I think I'm more organized that way.
The key to that sort of thing
Yeah.
is the threshold for how difficult it is to use has to be low.
Right.
Otherwise, you don't actually use it.
That's exactly right. And I don't know, I would say the but the kids know their phones so well,
Yeah,
so that
I
was
would bet
probably
they-
the best one. If they have a
they've
phone.
got a phone, they've got a
Yeah.
smartphone, then they're gonna probably be, that's their preferred tool.
And again, at school, letting the teachers know that that's why they're using that tool too, because we still will say, put your phone away, it's not supposed to be out, and so we have to. But with the students having their own computers too, we're teaching them about different timers they can put on their computers that will remind them to do things. So we have some online homework planners that will have certain alarms on them, so it can be on their device too if they can't take out their phone. So we have to work around that, but it's possible. All right, let me see, what else do I got here? Oh, I have to show you guys just some different apps that I found. A lot of our teachers have been looking for some apps to teach kids how to breathe and relax. So these are just a couple that you could try. These are mostly all free, not all of them. So some of our students have been learning about self-regulation with this app. Some kids like the Chillax app because they like the name, and it has some calming music and by different things in it. If you're looking for a calendar, a picture calendar, some of our elementary students will use the ChoiceWorks calendar because it's picture-based, just to get them used to using a calendar, and then we can fade the symbols and then have text. The Can Plan is, some of our adults or older students are using Can Plan, and you can add pictures or sound or text so it fits their learning style. The Time Timer we use a lot still. For social, working on some social skills, the Social Norms app has been good. It goes over just some everyday struggles that a person may have in the social world, and then, sorry, I don't know. Model Me Going Places is free, and it talks about when you go to the dentist or the doctor and things you might encounter there for students who might be nervous about that. These are new, these are different visual schedule apps. I haven't tried them yet, but I've heard good things about them. Between the Lines is a great series because it talks about like sarcasm and figurative language and just some of those things that are very hard for us to understand because we use so much of that in our society. And so it goes through different common figurative language or slang words that we use a lot, and it talks about what they mean. So we've had some success with that. And then the other ones, some of our students with their iPads are using Notability to record in a classroom because they prefer to use the iPad. And then I just put Microsoft OneNote has an audio button. Google Keep we're trying to teach all students how to use because it's a great place to keep your notes and your lists, and it syncs between all of your devices. So if I would be in Google Keep on my phone, it's going to sync to Google Keep on my computer, and it has the ability to add pictures and sound and text. So we're trying to show this to all students because it's a really great productivity app that's out there. And then we teach social thinking. That's one of our curriculums in the district, and they're starting to come out with some apps. So Social Detective has been two really good ones that we like. The My Shopping app has pictures that you can use to create a shopping list, and it's free. And then some of our students like taking pictures and then making talking photos explaining what the picture's about, just to work on narratives and explaining information. If you need a communication app, if your child is nonverbal or struggles with communication, a really good one to start with is, Sounding Board. That's a really good one to start with because it's free, and just to see if, just to trial it, just to see if the symbols in it will work for your child. And then there's other ones out there too. We still use Proloquo. That's one of the communication apps that we use a lot, and then there's other ones, but we trial them all just to see what works best. We have some students that use their iPad as their communication device, and so they take it with them wherever they go. They take it home, they bring it back because it's their voice, and so we really work on that as well. So assistive technology can run the whole gamut. But that's what I think that's what I have. Let me check. So does anybody have questions as you look through the handout that I gave you? Because assistive technology can just be so much.
I'm thinking
It can be really broad.
the big win with the newer stuff would be
Right.
if people were completely nonverbal, but can type or use icons and things like that.
Yeah.
They didn't have a whole lot of options before,
No,
but, you know, if you could get the computer to do talking for you,
yes.
you know, when you can't get words out, that's a whole new world.
There is an app called Verbally that's just text, and it has some word prediction in it. And some people have loved, some of our students like that, and they'll either have it on an iPod where it's more mobile or portable to take with them, or they'll have it on an iPad. So that's just text. And then Sounding Board has text and symbols. That's another good one. What was I going to say about that? I'm drawing a blank. But yes, we have a number of students that will use their iPad for communication. And we just have to make sure that we don't have any games on it, though, because it's really hard to make it a communication device when they know there's games on it, because you'd rather play games than use it to talk, which I totally get. Yeah,
It
some kids
depends.
can-
I mean, when you need to talk, you
Right.
know, it's like, I need to get lunch, my blood sugar is low.
You're right, some people can turn that off and on, and then
Yeah.
others, yeah, you have to trial it and kind of see.
I think one of the things we noticed when we were looking into things to help remind were not all of them then could put the repeat function in,
Yes.
where you just enter, like every Thursday you had to do something at 4
Mhm.
o'clock, rather than have to put that in every week, being able to, you know, or every day even,
Right.
so finding an app that lets you do that was really critical for us.
Yeah, because Colin even tried a watchminder for me, and didn't do it either. And that's what the watchminder was for. It was just to give you reminders, but he had to do it every week.
He had to remember
He had to remember
to
to do it,
do
and
the
that just
reminders, which
Yeah.
kind of was
defeated it, right?
defeated the purpose.
But what we liked about that is it would scroll a message across the screen, so it would vibrate on his wrist, and then the student could look at their wrist, and then they would see the message scroll across, like, don't forget your backpack, or don't forget your, but then when he had to do, like you said, he had to do it every day or every week, and remember to do it.
Yeah,
that-
like remember your lunch mids.
Right.
You know, rather than fit that in every single day.
Mhm.
So,
Right, so.
that's just something to watch for when you look
Yes.
at those.
Because you can do it on your cell phones, but then again, we have to see, you know, is it okay to have your cell phone out? Or some students are easily distracted by it. So there's some variables to consider there, but yes, there's so many tools out there, and our big thing is starting with tools that we already have access to, that are built in, and then if those tools don't work, then we can find other ones out there. But I'll typically start with these tools that I showed you today, and then we go from there. And the students are always so good at helping me figure out, you know, what will work for them. Like you both have said, you know, just getting that buy-in and telling them I'm not taking this tool away, but here's another one we can try with it. And I appreciate your feedback, because I need to have that perspective so I know how to approach.
Not to make your job any bigger than
No.
it already is, but I think it would be ideal if you were a part of the IEP plan
Mhm.
for every student who has an IEP, because so many would benefit
Right.
from these. And I, as not a student, I use these things
Oh,
myself, you know. And that's another thing I do with my grandson, is try to normalize
Mhm.
the use of these devices, that many people use this. We all make lists,
Oh,
we
yeah.
all have reminders,
Yes.
so that it's not that you're weird or different.
No.
This is a tool. A tool is a good word.
Well, an
That's
important,
exactly.
an important thing for the IEP then is that when you get that one teacher who doesn't believe in all
Right.
that stuff, that it's clear that, yes, this is a necessary thing.
Mhm. Right.
This is not a, you know, wow, we don't need any of that fancy stuff, and I'm sure you've encountered that.
That's where we make sure that they know this assistive technology, it becomes assistive technology when you need to use it to level the playing field for you or
Yes.
for your learning style. It's not for ease of use, because sometimes we will have that, like, well, talking into their computer, you know, they don't need to do that, they can type. Well, that's where it becomes different, you know, and so that's where that changes from something we all can use to something that we need to use.
I'd like to add
Exactly.
something in there with the speech to text.
Yeah.
I'm a public speaker and I write my speeches, and
Yeah.
one of the things that I find is, like one of my speeches, I wrote about meltdowns and emotionally challenging subjects, and it was taxing on me to type it. So speaking it was easier. So that is where I found speech to text to be a wonderful tool.
What tool did you use?
Dragon, naturally speaking.
We do have Dragon too, and that's one that you install. I think you still have to install it. And so if some of the free tools don't work, then we have access to other tools too, and because that one can take the kids too into college, and people are using it in the business world, and that's too what I always tell kids. These tools people are using every day, like business world, doctors. I mean, all of these kinds of tools are out there, and Dragon is one of them. It's in the legal world. The lawyers are using it, doctors. I mean.
Yeah, Dragon's been around for a long
For a long time, and it's only getting better, and same with these tools too. We use them all every day, and so the first thing I'll tell a student when I meet them is I'll just say, my learning style is, once we start establishing rapport, I'll say, I'm a visual learner, and these are the tools that I use. What kind of learner do you think you are, and blah, 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 and just try to get their perspective, and so.
I think the thing that I'm really, really appreciating is that you're saying these tools
Right.
help level the playing field so that kids have equal access to the educational environment.
Right, because all kids can learn, and all kids are very smart. It's just giving them some options to figure out what works best for them, and just empowering them. Oh, and parents and teachers and people that work with them, just to know that these tools are out there, and it's okay to ask about them. And in the IEP, there is a section, on assistive technology where we do check, are we exploring it or do they need it? And so we'll typically start with the first time exploring it, but then we explore a lot of tools during that year of the IEP, and if we find something that works, the next year we'll check yes, and then it's documented within the IEP what tools they need. And so I'm really making sure that people don't gloss over that. That's been one of my goals, because it's so important for the students to know, and then everybody who they'll work with
They
later.
have their essential tools.
Yes, yeah, essential tools, yeah. So, well, thank you. I'll sure come back again, and maybe next time if I come back, I'll get the internet working so I can demonstrate them. It means more if you can see them than if I just say them. So.
Okay. Thank you very much
Yes,
for
thank you
coming
for
out. I
having
really
me.
appreciate
Oh,
it.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you.